Here we go. Here we go. Let me get this over here. Do 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 do. Okay, there we go. We're live. We're live. We're live. Hello, hello, hello. Hope everyone's doing good. Hi, Pam, John, Tanya. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. Just making sure this is live streaming properly on all the platforms, or at least on YouTube. Okay, cool. There we go. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm going to give it a few minutes to let everyone kind of join and get started here as soon as everyone's all on board. I hope you guys are having a great day. I think there is a Q&A chat thing you can do if you have any questions or anything specific you want to ask. I'll go through a bunch of different cool, fun information. We'll talk about personal branding and consulting and speaking and all kinds of fun stuff. And then, yeah, any questions, feel free to pop them in there. And then if I can answer them uh, during while I'm talking, I will. Otherwise, I'll get through them as I'm going. As I'm going. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Okay, cool. Just checking more people joining in there. Um, okay, cool. If you guys can hear me and see me, if you guys want to pop in the little Q&A chat thing and let me know everything is functioning right, that would be great, just so I can make sure this is working properly before I dive in and go through all the things. Okay, volume's up. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, cool. A few more minutes. So yeah, hope everyone's having a good day. I see you and hear you just fine. Yay. Yay. Okay, cool. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Um, Making sure that everything is working. I try to do these on Zoom and then I try to live stream it onto YouTube at the same time. That way there's, people that can catch it that are subscribed on there as well. Then we have the cool recording as well. So yeah, I'm happy that you're able to hear me and see me. I'll probably wait a few more minutes as people jump on. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm going to go over a lot of things. I think one of the things that people, a lot of our clients ask us is, we have this thing that we're a book publishing company, right? So it's like we write amazing best-selling books. We have great writers, editors, designers, all of that on the team. But I always say that like writing a book is 20% of what we do. I don't think it's the main thing, even though it is the centerpiece of it. Um, the rest of it is everything else, right? It's how you leverage the book as an asset to launch into a speaking career, to launch into doing a TED Talk, or become a consultant, or raise your prices, or create a membership site. And one of the webinars I went on, or that I did about a month ago, was on the 9 different revenue streams of being a best-selling author. So I'll touch on some of those today. I think the speaking, consulting, all of that. I want to revisit with you guys, and then I'm going to share too. Like some of the sites you can use to build those speaker profiles, how to actually create, that presence online and build that personal brand. Because I think that's what it really comes down to. If you have to boil it all down into one thing, like what is the one thing that really that you get out of being a best-selling author? And it's really leveraging a personal brand, right? That can add value to your business, that can add value to anything that you do, anything you teach, anything that you share, educate on, courses, membership sites, any online presence, brand deals, licensing, all of that is amplified from having a best-selling book and being a best-selling author. So yeah, a few more people are joining in. Feel free to let me know in the chat if you can hear me and see me. Everything's working good. Yeah, hello, hello. I see some familiar names in there. People I've had calls with, some people from our team, some people that are clients. Hello, hello, hello. I'm excited. Happy holidays as well. We have our team. I saw Anthony join. We have our team holiday virtual holiday party this Friday. So I'm very excited uh, to uh, to have that party on Friday. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting. Thank you, Anthony, for putting that together. Okay, so yeah, we're about 5 minutes in. I'll start and go through some things. Again, there is a Q&A like chat. If you guys have any questions while I'm diving in, feel free to ask away. And then if I can answer right at that moment, I will. Otherwise, I'll jump to it as I'm kind of going through. So, um, on the I'll pull it up real quick, but on like the Zoom registration, one of the things that I talked about for this webinar is, how to craft the story of you, and I think that ties into the the personal brand. So, when it comes to, and this will lead into the speaking and consulting and everything else. And so, one of the first things I think people have to wrap their minds around when it comes to building the personal brand, and also when it ties directly into having a best-selling book, is what is the story of you? I think oftentimes, people come to us and they have like five different ideas for a book, right? And it's like, well, should I do it for this company or this offer or this or whatever? And it's like, well, no, it's about you. And yes, you can tie in your businesses and your company and all of that, but really the book, even if it's about your business, should have your stories in it and who you are, your experience, all those things all laid out in there. And that's how we structure each chapter, right? We have these personal stories, I have these emotional hooks and lead into the lessons learned and all of that. And so when you're trying to understand the story of you as far as personal brand goes, you want to think not only about like your literal actual experience, but who is the avatar that you're speaking to? Who's the person that you're going to give the most help to? And people spend so much time trying to figure out their niche, right? Like, what's my niche? Who am I trying to serve? A lot of times with a personal brand, it's the person who is behind you, like the younger or earlier version of you, the less experienced version of you. And that doesn't necessarily mean younger as far as like actual age. It can be just inexperienced or less experienced than you. That version is trying to get to where you are, trying to learn the things that you're trying to learn, trying to become this version of where you're at now and the experience you have. And that applies to your business as well, your clientele, all of that. So understanding that story of who you are and the impact you have, um, is what's going to kind of wrap the whole concept of a personal brand, right? You've gone through things that feel very unique to you, and they are to a large degree, but there's a million people out there that are trying to get through that same exact problem. They're trying to solve that same thing. And this applies if you have like a healthcare niche thing and you're trying to help people with some specific cure or some kind of healing modality, or if it's like a software thing or whatever the thing is that you've come up with as your business or in your career or problems that you've solved, other people are trying to figure that out, right? Other people are trying to solve what those things are. And so, when you can understand that, you can start to craft this story of who you are. And I think, one of the things when it comes to like building that, that framework around your personal story is like, what is the actual true facts of your story, right? And you can go through this in a timeline. I was here, and then I was this, and then I was this, and then I did this, and I overcame this. And you start to have these like step-by-step things. But then as a writer, right, and you guys don't have to be writers to work with us. Obviously, we have writers, but if you're trying to figure this out as for yourself, and you're a writer, you're not a writer, is that you want to go through and start to punch up, right? Just like a good stand-up comedian or storyteller, you want to punch up those stories. You want to like touch on points that maybe don't feel like a big deal to you, but are very, very big to someone who hasn't done that thing. And I see this a lot with people that have a lot of experience, right? It's kind of one of the things I talk about on some of our calls is the Dunning-Kruger effect, right? Where people that are smart and have experience and intelligence are smart enough to be aware that they're not the smartest person in the room, right? And they have that sense of doubt and like questioning and humility, which is a healthy thing to have. People who are not that smart don't have any doubt. They don't have any question if they're right or not. They're just like, they just very assumptive, right? And that is a butchered version of what the Dunning-Kruger effect is, right? And so when it comes to people like yourself who are smart, who have intelligence, who have experience, you're going to doubt that the story of transformation, the thing that you went through, is impactful enough, right? Like one of the things people always say is like, who am I to write a book? Who's going to read my book? Who would ever want to, care to hear my story? And then those are usually people that like need to write a book, that need to have a story, right? Need to tell their story, because to them it was just like another day. It was another Tuesday, and they conquered something and they went through some huge transformation and they made some change in life that helped themselves or family or friends or a million people. One of our clients, I won't say the specific thing because obviously we have NDAs, but there's a certain disease out there that one of our clients was one of the people, him and one other person helped cure that disease or find a solution to it, like a medicine that can actually cure it or keep it at bay for a long enough period of time, that someone in my family was able to utilize. And I didn't know this until way after the fact, like the connections there. Um, but like that person going after what they care about and having the confidence in what they want to do and the know-how and applying themselves is healing like millions of people from this thing. And so again, it doesn't have to be some cure for a big disease that you have, right? It could be this challenge that you went through and overcame a business situation. It could be something that a skill that you have, right? I can see someone on here that I think is still on here. Yeah, he's still on here. We had a call the other day, and I won't say too much about you because obviously, again, we confidential information, but he's created an education for people in the music industry. I'll say that that's vague enough. You know who I'm talking about. You could put yourself in the chat if you want. I don't think other people can see it, but it's like it might feel like an everyday for him, right? It might feel like just an everyday, like this is what I did, right? I was in the music industry, I got my skills out in, and then I created education to help the next generation of people do it. It might not feel as big of a deal. And I think when we do things over and over again, our baseline, our standard feels like a very common, normal thing to other people is absolutely amazing, right? It's like a very, there we go. Appreciate you too. Okay, cool. I can get specific. That's awesome. Yeah, so it's like and just to talk about, your skill set, like that is something that you have built around years of practicing your craft and then building this membership community, right? Building this community to be able to help other people in the music industry be able to, have the know-how, right? Not only to like perform at that level and honing their craft, but to be able to reach the new heights and the business side of it and all these other things that are very challenging for people to get through. And there's so many people that have that version of that for them, right? Whether it's the medical, whether it's music, that's a whole book in itself. Medical music, that should be a that should be a thing. But understanding that your story is very impactful for people, and understanding how to phrase it in the right way, I think the way that I try to look at it is that none of us want to sell ourselves, right? Like I don't want to talk about myself. I like talking, as we all know, but I don't want to talk about myself all the time. I want to build other people up. I want to teach other people. I want to help other people. And I think a lot of us are that way where we don't want to necessarily talk about ourselves but you have to tell your story in a way that is going to get people to notice you and get people to recognize your genius and your brilliance because they're they're not going to get the help that they deserve to get from working with someone like you if you don't, right? And so when you can reframe it that way and understand that like you telling your story in a way that has an impact that is transformational, that doesn't do you a disservice and it also doesn't do them a disservice because now they get to go, oh, you actually did do that thing and that I'm trying to figure out. I would love to work with you. And so that framework, and especially when it comes to someone I was mentioning earlier, is that you can use that framework to go, who is behind me by 5 years? Who is behind me by 10 years? And this is some of our corporate clients like this, right? They've been in the corporate world for 15, 20, 30 years, all this amazing experience as an executive. And there's an entire generation of millions of people right now, the Gen Z, that are in college or out of college, trying to get a job, trying to figure out how to be in corporate, that want to get to C-suite, that have no idea how to do it. And to have someone come and show them and say, hey, here's how to do it. You're a startup. Here's how you can skip all the pain of failing, and get to this level and do that faster and easier. Um, and so I think it's a disservice to all those people who are trying to get help from you to not have your story be as impactful and not like you don't have to sell them. You don't have to be this like salesy person, but you want to say it in the right way. So I think objectively, if you were one of the practices I use to try to figure out what that story of you is I start to look at it as if I was helping someone else. If I write down all that list of every single person, right? Or every single timeline thing of experience. Here's I did this, I did that, put that timeline together. And then if I look at that like I was helping someone else, a family member or a friend, and say, oh, well, what happened here? Let me expand on that. Let me expand on that. And now you have this really great transformational story. Um, and it just helps you be objective instead of subjective and wanting to downplay and not brag right about yourself. We've all been taught not to brag about yourself, but you have to be able to be comfortable talking about you in order to help the next person. So I'll dive deeper into that, but I just want to make sure too that I go over a few of the things that we talked about. There's more people jumping on. So hello, Andrea. I see Andrea on here too, and Rachel. Hello, and William. Hello. And so as we go into this webinar, I do want to make it very compact and impactful, right? So you can take action. So I'm going to share a handful of the sites that we like to use, and hopefully, as I'm live streaming to YouTube as well, that I can also share my screen. We'll see if it lets me at the same time without freaking out. Let me pull this up real quick because what I want to do with the speaking side is help you guys understand. And at the end too, like I mentioned, anyone who stays to the end, I'll give you guys the TED Talk GPT that I made. But anyone who's interested in speaking, right? I think that's just one of the many avenues when it comes to becoming a best-selling author and having this asset as what a best-selling book is a business asset to help grow that personal brand. Speaking is just one of those prongs, right? One of those revenue streams. But even if you're working with us right now, or you're not working with us yet, or you have a book or you don't have a book, you can start putting these together right now. Like start putting together that list of your speaker profiles and getting your speaker reel and getting these things put together. So by the time that your book launches or you work with us, or even while it's writing, you can have this stuff in motion. So like one of the things we tell our clients and we show our clients is the entire client portal in the back office that has all of these different websites and how to create the profiles, how to create your speaker page on your website, your speaker reel, and how to do your talk titles, all of that. And so one of those is Speaker Hub. And so I'll dive into that real quick, assuming this will let me share. Let's see. Yay, it worked. Participants can now see your application. Cool. So Speaker Hub is one of those profiles that you want to create. And looks great. Yay, thanks, Cole. I got all my favorite people here today. This is great. So Speaker Hub is one of those profiles that you want to create, right? You want to be able to build a profile on here. And again, it doesn't mean that you need to go pay for the subscription yet. You don't need to necessarily like do a bunch of outreach. You don't have to do any of that right now, like today, but at least create your profile. And there's many others like this as well. Like Event Raptor is another one. Podcast Guest is another one. These are all places that you can start to put yourself on there. And why I did this after the story of you is because I think you want to dial in that story of you. You want to, utilize everything about yourself and be able to have it in a way that sells you without like you downplaying yourself. Because, we get the Dunning-Kruger effect, right? When the smarter we are, the better we are at like having doubts because we know we're not the smartest or the best or whatever else. But you have to switch that dynamic and understand that, again, you're doing a disservice to everyone that you can help by downplaying who you are and by playing small or not telling the story of who you are to the degree that you can. So, and then as a quick side note, if you have a challenging time with figuring out like your branding, figuring out who you are, figuring out what you represent, you can do a quick like poll on social media, right? If you have an email list, you can use it as well, but you can also do a quick poll on social media. I'll do this like once a year on any of my social accounts and just say, hey, if you had to choose one word to describe me, to define me, what would it be? And then you'll get a bunch of people that will say things. I know one year mine was courageous, courage and courageous were a huge one, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it worked. I got to see a bunch of different feedback, or like, what are three things that come to mind when you think of me, right? You can start to kind of like get this information from people that are following you, people that are engaging with you, people on your email list or your social media accounts. Doesn't mean that you have to run with it. Courageous is a good thing. Thanks, Rachel. Thank you. God bless you. God bless you. You don't have to run with it. It doesn't mean like you have to use that as your branding, but you'll get an idea of like what you're putting out there that you're not able to see. And so a lot of the stuff when it comes to defining your story, which again applies to your speaking and applies to your talk titles and your TED Talk, and it's going to apply to your book and your consulting and all of this, is that you want to kind of close the gap between who you think you are and what you think you represent and how you think you're showing up and what the world sees, right? It's a very hard thing to do for a lot of us because hopefully we're not constantly thinking about what everyone's thinking about us, right? And usually when we're in that space, we're not thinking, oh, they love us, everyone loves us, or we're worried about this, or we're not thinking of the branding of it, right? We're thinking of some other thing. So when you start to kind of pull everyone that and just say, what's one word or what's three words or whatever else that you think of when you think about me, you'll start to get this feedback, and you can use that feedback to go, okay, this is how everyone sees me. Do I like that? Is that good? Does that match the brand that I want to have, the the personal brand, right? The things that I'm putting out there, or is it a little bit off? Is it something that doesn't really match how I'm trying to show up, and I just wasn't aware that that's how I was showing up? And now you can start to modify a little bit, right? And start to define further who it is you are, what you want to represent. And again, when it comes to a personal brand, when it comes to giving a transformation, you really can hone in knowing who you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, what you knew then versus what you know now. Everyone is, even 5 minutes ago, right? There's someone that's right behind where you are that wants to get to where you are. And you have the ability to teach them that thing and show them that thing and be an example of that thing or an inspiration of that thing. And that's your niche, right? You are your own niche when it comes to a personal brand. And so you can really start to hone that in and show them and share with them who you are, how you got there. And then that just gives them the motivation to not only want to work with you, but maybe come see you speak, maybe follow you somewhere, join your email list, buy the thing from you, invest with you, whatever it is. So anyways, back to Speaker Hub. So when you are understanding that story about yourself and you're defining it, that is where now you can start to go, okay, let me move over to creating my speaker profile. So Speaker Hub is one of them. Like I mentioned, the other one is like Event Raptor, and I'll share these in a list too. All of our clients get these in our client portal. Podcast guests, like all of that. Well, we internally, as part of like our packages, book you on 6 guaranteed podcasts, right? As a separate done for you service. So not separate, it's included in the service, right? It's 6 guaranteed podcasts with our PR team. We also share all of these sites, right? So you don't have to just go on the 6 that we book you on. You can start booking podcasts or speaking from stages right away, right? You don't have to wait, and you can sign with us and then put these together and then start going to town on getting speaking opportunities, right? And these sites aren't just like random sites that I create a list of. This is what I use. This is what my speaker agent uses when he books stuff for me. This is what any like friends I know that are in like the done for you speaking or coaching for speakers. This is exactly what they use as well, right? They just will go in and create these little profiles for you and then start sending out requests. So yeah, hop on there. So I'm gonna stop sharing real quick and then I'm gonna reshare it. But I want to pull up one of the things that I promised you guys at the end, and I will share this. And again, if you guys have any questions, I am like a fire hose with information, which is sometimes a good thing, sometimes a bad thing. But feel free to stop me or ask a question in the chat anytime. What I'm going to pull up real quick is, let me go back here. I'm going to pull up the TED Talk. Where's it at here? TED Talk and Keynote Speech Creator. So even though I am going to share this with you guys, I do want to make sure that I go over this a bit too. So this is something I built for our clients, and I will share this again at the very end. But I think this is really relevant to kind of review a bit while we're talking about speaker profiles, right? So ideally, you're going to use this to not only craft the TED Talk, but create talk titles, right? Create a keynote speech. Now, different TED Talk ideas, and then also a full outline. TED Talks obviously have to be somewhere between, under 18 minutes. Usually that like 12 to 15 minute range is the best. And so you'll get a script in here. And then again, if it's like exactly who you want it, who you are, and it represents you and it has your message, like great. If it's a first go, that's great. If it's not, right, come back to these 5 talk title ideas or 5 TED Talk ideas, because it's only going to be like any technology is as good as the person using it. And so you want to make sure that you're able to hone in these different talk titles, hone in what you represent. And if you're like, I don't even know what to talk about, right? I don't know why would people want to hear about me? There are people getting paid like $25,000 to talk about sometimes absolute nonsense on stages, right? In colleges, in corporate offices, in government buildings, right? And obviously not everyone. There's a lot of great speakers out there, but there are people that are getting paid to talk about things that have no relevance to most people, right? Or they're just very niche. Let's say it that way instead of insulting. Let's say it's a very niche audience, right? That like the mass majority of people are not going to understand or not going to hear, not going to want to talk about. But the point of why I'm saying that is that there's a niche for every single topic. Like as unique as people feel, and again, I don't want to make people feel like they're not unique either, but like as unique as you might feel, there's 1 million or 2 million, there's 3 million people at least that are exactly who you were 5 minutes ago, or 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, or 20 years ago, that want to get to where you are now. And you can be that person, that bridge to help them get there through speaking, through consulting, through the book, et cetera. So play around with the ideas and try to figure out, okay, what is it that based on the social media poll and the email and people asking, like, what do I represent to them? What's the word that comes to mind? Okay, what is my transformation in that story that I wrote about myself? What are the key points, the things I overcame? And then let me try to put that in here and ask, this GPT if it can come up with some different talk ideas. Um, and then let me see here. I got a quick question. So if you do reach out to people to speak, for example, submit to TED Talk and are rejected, is it okay to ask why our application got rejected and how do you pivot from there? Yeah, that's actually a great question. So just to reiterate, if you reach out to people to speak or submit a TED Talk, and you get rejected for either one of those, the question is it okay to ask why our application got rejected? And then how do you pivot from there? That's an absolutely brilliant question. Yes, it is. I think that number one, always ask, right? And always ask whether if a client, like one of the things, if a client says no, like they don't want to work with us, like I'll call them and ask, like, hey, why'd you say no? Like I want to get better. I don't know why you said no. What did I, not that I did something wrong, but what did I maybe not communicate? And it's like, oh, well, you don't do this thing. And it's like, well, actually, we do that. And they're like, oh, yeah, sign me up. Right. Like, you don't know what the thing was that wasn't translated. So I think, especially when it comes to speaking or TED, if your application is rejected, like reach out and ask them. One of the ways that you can do this as well, besides just like going on to Speaker Hub and these different sites and then like submitting a bunch of applications, or even for like TED or TEDx and like submitting a bunch of applications, find the event coordinator, right? And the easiest way to do this usually is like going to the website, right? Like let's say there's an event that I want to speak at somewhere, or a TED Talk that I want to speak at, TEDx in London, I don't know, somewhere. And I submit and I get rejected. But I'm like, I feel like I got my speaker reel, I got my speaker one sheet, like I linked everything, I got everything on there. I don't understand why. It seems like my topic fits this event. You can go either on the TEDx, like if it's TEDx, for example, you can go onto the site, you will find the event coordinator, and then you can go find them on LinkedIn, right? And then reach out to them that way, or call them, or email them. Or if you have any mutual connections with people too, like especially for speaking events, I'll always go to LinkedIn and I'll like find the event coordinator that was on the site. And then I'll see if I have any mutual connections or like second degree, third degree. That's why I like LinkedIn for that. And then I'll reach out to my person that's closer to them and say, hey, like, could you reach out to this person and, and have them send me a message, or could you connect us? Would you mind a soft intro? Things like that. My friend Cole's on here. He does it all the time. We'll just connect me with people like all the time. Right. And it's one of those things where it's like, I'm like, hey, I'm thinking about this thing, and then he's like, oh yeah, I got a guy for that, right? I got a person that can do that, or I have someone that might know someone. The same thing for speaking is that if you get rejected, always ask. And anyone who rejects you, I at least for me, like I would never be uncomfortable telling someone why they were rejected. Like, hey, I was looking for this, these qualities, or I saw your speaker reel. It just didn't really feel like it matched our audience, or some of your topics were a little off, but maybe for our next one. And you might be able to find out again through that information, not only how to improve your next application, like maybe you didn't have a speaker role on there, maybe your talk titles weren't specific enough or didn't fit the audience, or maybe again you just didn't share something in there that you had thought you shared, and then they're like, yeah, you don't talk about this, and you're like, actually, I do talk about exactly that, but I just didn't put that in there. So yeah, you get great information by doing that. So um oh, and then this is Cole said, yeah, if this wasn't a fit for your stage, whose stage do you feel this is a better fit for? And then can you introduce me? That's a great response. I don't know if you heard that, Rachel, but yeah, if Cole said it's something you can share with them, like, hey, if this wasn't a fit for your stage, whose stage do you feel this is a better fit for? And then asking, can you introduce me to them? I think that's great. And just to add to that too, thank you for that, Cole, because when you get into speaking business, like there's the first few are the hardest, right? Getting on those first few stages. And then every event you go to, you talk to the person there that brought you on, the event coordinator. You make sure you get video, footage, because you don't have to rely on the event coordinator to do that. Like you get someone to get your own footage or your own film of you speaking from there. Make sure you're like live streaming it on socials, etc. And then ask that person who hosted that event, like, hey, I love this event. This was great. Would you mind, introduce me or keep me in mind for your next event, or if you know anyone else that has an event? And that's usually how speakers blow up. It's not from just application, application, application. It's warm introductions. You get one really good one from a cold outreach, and then you get an introduction, and now you're like this go-to person in the rotation of speakers for personal development or for business or for crypto or whatever the thing is, the medical industry, music. Like now you're that go-to person, and so and then they just start referring over and over again. So yeah, that was a really good question and a really good response as well, Cole. Thank you. Um, and then so diving into, let me just make sure that I'm not uh, I'm not missing anything over here on the YouTubes. Okay, cool. Um, and then as far as like this, so the author's TED Talk and keynote speech creator, again, play around with these. Like you don't, you can just click on some of these. These are prompts are already pre-built. And again, this is not going to necessarily give you talk titles on just on me. So you might have to say, hey, here's some background first. Oh, there it is. It did that. Yeah. So it's like, hey, I don't have any background on you. So who are you? Right? Because I didn't make this as specific for me. It's for everyone. Um, and so you can start to add your information in here and say, oh, this is what I do. Here's kind of a bit of my history. Here's my book, right? Or if I don't have a book yet, here's what my book is going to be about. Here's what the team's working on, etc. And then it'll start compiling all these different things, right? So again, trying to make it for everyone to kind of come up with these different ideas. Based on one of those ideas, then you can go click on one of the other prompts and begin to here, I'll stop sharing that for a sec, and then begin to kind of build from there. Your rough draft of your first TED Talk and or your keynote speech, right? And or some talk titles. And that's one of the things too when you're building your speaker profile. You want to have those talk titles. Like you want to have 3 options, 5 options of things you can talk on that can be related in the same industry, or they can be variations as well. Um, and then you want to create that speaker reel. And so one of the things that we share with our clients, and I'm happy to share with you guys if you want to, is like you can just have a video editor clip together like 10 different podcast interviews, or if you have any clips from the stage. If you don't have anything from you on the stage, you can go to one of your speaker bureaus, local speaker bureaus or associations, or you can go to your church and have someone just like a friend get a nice camera or a nice iPhone, right? And just film you on stage, right? And even if it's just B-roll, it's just you on stage. You don't even have to talk. It doesn't have to be great, but just decent lighting and you speaking to literally no one if you need to, right? Let alone if there's people in there would be great too. You can use those clips, integrate those in, and then the video editor can add it in there. And you want to do like a voiceover in the background, right? You don't have to have clips of you talking and everything. You can record a little script, a little 1 minute, 2 minute script of, hey, I'm Corey Gladwell, 4-time best-selling author, CEO, Authrs.io, da 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 da, and talk about all these different things. Obviously, I wouldn't just say that in the very beginning. I would probably have some hook, something just like a social media post, right? You want to have some kind of great hook, emotional hook in there. And then from there, you'll go into introduction, who you are. Maybe you flash your book if you have it. Show yourself on stages, on podcasts, and that little 1-2 minute, speaker reel. That's really where people make the decision. They want to see your energy. They want to see your confidence on stage. They want to see vibe, for lack of a better term, and they obviously care about what the topic is, what the content is, and the message if it fits the audience. But that's really what they're looking for, is who's going to bring that energy and help the audience get the transformation that you're looking to give. So, any questions on that? Let me know. I'm going to make sure I said in the emails and in all the stuff here, I would make it a very tight 1 hour. So I'm gonna stick to it. Start on time, end on time. Um, let's see here. Building speaker profile, get you on stages, so create a high ticket offer. Okay. Okay, cool. So any questions on the speaking side? I know there was a bunch of random things there. I can also pull up some more of the pages if you guys want. Like I said, Event Raptor podcast guest. I think Pod Guest is another one that's it's doing really well. As a disclaimer, if you sign up for any of those things, any of those sites, you're going to get a ton of emails. So a little trade secret: create a separate Gmail email specifically for speaking. Like Andrea speaking at gmail.com, Anthony speaking at gmail.com, Rachel speaking at gmail.com, something like that. So that way you can have those fielded in a separate inbox. Otherwise, you're going to get hit up every day for like, hey, you want this opportunity? This, and again, that's a good problem to have. Some of them are great, other ones are not so great, which is how it goes. But yeah, it can be overwhelming when you first create all those accounts. So yeah, if there's no other questions on that, I do want to dive into consulting, and then I'm going to talk a little bit more about again the story, speaking, where that goes, and the book, how to outline and kind of craft the book message as well. Um, but feel free to jump in if any questions on speaking come up. As a quick side note, we are looking to do an event. Ba-ba-ba-bum. Corey's over there. Other Corey Fraden is over there. That's what I was looking at. But we're looking at doing an event. I think maybe in February. We'll let you guys know. In-person event, live event. And so we'll share some more details as a quick side note. So we will have some people coming out to speak. We will be doing some content for people. A couple cool things. You can get some podcast interviews in. You can get some content, some speaking content. Just some things to kind of round out a lot of the things we already do here, and building those assets for everybody. So be on the lookout for that. I'll share more. Rachel said, not sure if this was answered earlier because I jumped on late, but if you are just starting out, do you recommend charging for free at first till you get a few done? So great question. Yeah. When it comes to speaking, yes. I wouldn't start with, hey, I'll do this for free. Never start that as the conversation. But if you get the chance to speak at, there's huge events, there's big events, so not even huge, but big events that have your people in that audience. And I know people that charge $25,000, $30,000 to speak on stages that will speak for free because it's that audience, right? Now, if they will do it, then that means any of us could or should. But especially when you have no experience speaking, right? When you have no experience speaking, and this is the lead perfectly into the consulting topic as well. When you have no experience speaking, you need to get experience. And so you can do all those kind of things, like I was saying, to create the speaker reel, where you go on church stage, or you go to your local association or speaker bureau or whatever else. But when it comes to actually going to an event and speaking for people that are, they're paying for this ticket, or it's a free event, but they have an upsell, whatever else it is, make sure it's the right audience for you. Make sure it's topics match, all of that is lined up. But if you have to get out there for doing it for free, I still would do it to get content, to get experience, to have someone videotape you there. I would still do it. Now, again, I wouldn't start off with saying free. I would start off with saying, hey, my fee is 2,500 or whatever it is, 5,000, whatever you want to start off with. And then if they're like, hey, and one thing I always ask people too, when I'm talking to an event coordinator, is hey, so what's your budget for this? Just thinking of if I'm a good fit, or if I have other, maybe friends or clients that would be a good fit for this event. And then they'll just tell you their budget. Oh, my budget is only, 10,000 for this speaking role. I don't know if that fits yours. And it's actually, 10,000 is exactly what I was thinking. But no, obviously be honest. I'm just kind of making a joke there, but figure out what their budget is if they'll share it with you. And then, you can obviously offer a fee. Now, if you actually have no experience, again, it's very hard to say yes to speaking. If you've done no speaking, I would try to do it for free if you can. I would try to get experience first before you go onto the stage, but there's some point where you're going to have to get paid to be a speaker, and you make that transition. And so when you're doing those first ones, again, yes, I would say yes to being free. I would also, though, if you're an author, and I told one of our clients this because they got invited. They didn't get invited. They were doing their book launch. This was last July, or the July before last. I don't know. It was this year or the year before. Their book was scheduled to launch in July. And so we did all their big launch, and they were like, hey, there's this event. I would love to speak at it. And they couldn't get, they didn't have any experience being a speaker. The people at the event were like, hey, we don't have the funds to actually pay you, but we'd love to have you speak. And so how I explained it to him, and it's something you can do too, especially if you have a book, is hey, can I get, my, can you buy, 100 copies, 500 copies of my book, right? And if they say yes, cool. Now you just sold that many copies of your book, and then they could put them on every single seat or under every single seat in the event space, and wherever you're speaking. If they're like, hey, we can't afford to even do that, which I doubt they can, but if they say that as well, then, hey, do you mind if I bring X amount of copies of my book and hand them out there? Now, I wouldn't suggest trying to sell your book there. People have tried. I think it's a much better move, especially personal branding move and business move, to bring 100 copies of the book and hand it out, sign them, hand them out to everybody, get as much exposure as you can. And then put little, what are those things called? What's the thing? I always fold my pages in my books. Bookmark. Thank you. You can get little custom bookmarks made too, with your website, your socials, picture you, whatever else, right? You can really, find a way to brand it and get the most ROI. I know for me, when I go to events and I do some speaking at an event, whether it's paid or free, I network at all the events afterwards. We do dinners, do whatever, and I end up bringing in, an extra 70, $100,000 to the business just from speaking, from talking, from hanging out, irregardless of the actual speaker fees. So I think that's really the big part is like, just being there, showing up, showing the authority, your presence, all of that really does help. So I think that leads into the consulting. So diving into consulting, again, any questions, feel free to jump in the chat. Let me know, you guys. That was a great question, Rachel. Thank you for asking. When it comes to consulting, very similar to what you said, Rachel, you're definitely welcome. You're definitely welcome. Similar to what you said with the speaking, like when you're starting off with a consulting offer, no matter how much experience you have, right? And we've had people, again, like ex-Pentagon, Secret Service, senators, all the government people. We've had people that have run the most major Fortune 500 companies, worked all over the world. I tell them the same thing, is that start with a founders, group or beta testers, right? Like have this small group that you're going to pull in and build case studies from. And so you can charge them free or, very minimal, like 10% of whatever you're actually planning on charging. And again, make sure they're curated people too. Don't just like grab whoever wants to do it, because that doesn't always work either. These people have to not only want to get the transformation that you have, but be a good fit for the audience that you're trying to help get the transformation. And then they're going to do the work, right? Because you can consult until you're exhausted and passed out, and do whatever. You can help people, you can give them every tool. If they don't take it and actually do something with it, then you don't get any case study out of it. They don't get any results. Nothing happens, and it's like, it didn't help me. It's like, well, you didn't do anything with it. So, and this is true. Like, there's some of our clients that watch every single video in our client portal. Some of our clients don't watch any of them, and it's like, that's fine, but you don't get anything if you don't do it. So, and you can see the difference in the results. The clients that do the work and do the things, Leonard, brought in 140,000 additional revenue from his consulting business, correlated from the book. I know Michelle, just landed a TED Talk a month ago in the UAE, all about his exact book that we wrote for him, and he's got over 250,000 views now on the TED, YouTube. You can go to our website and check it out. And so they just followed the steps, right? Just follow the steps. So when it comes to the consulting, you want to get that first set of people, right? Like when I first started consulting back in 2015, I'm old. I'm old. I'm old. I'm not old. I'm not old. Change that. Rewire. Delete that conversation in my head. But I'm going to be 40 next year. I know for a lot of people, they're like, shut up. That's not even relevant. Anyway, so 10 years ago, when I first started consulting, I got to get back on track. 10 years ago, Cole, I need one of your drinks. I left them at the house. I need one of your drinks. I should have brought one to the office today. That would have been perfect. But anyways, I when I started consulting 10 years ago, I got a small group, right? Like it was a small group of us, and I said, hey, this is what I can do. This is how I do it. And I would love to get, a few people to test this out, make sure I get them the results, go through the whole process with them. And then all I want in exchange is testimonial video. I want you to talk about how great I am. And then after that process, if you want to hire me, there's some normal rates, and you can keep working together. And if you don't, you don't have to. One of these clients, Barbara Eaton, was one of those clients, and we finally did start working together in like 2017. She was kind of through the testing, went through it, and she's like, okay, cool. We didn't get to talk for a while. 2017, started working together. She hired me as a consultant. Had an idea, she's a chiropractor. She was like, hey, I'm a chiropractor. I charge $700 a month to work one-on-one with other chiropractors to help them with their chiropractic business. And I was like, what if what if we make it a group coaching offer, get your modules in the background, and you charge, I don't know, 6,000, right? That felt too high for her. So she was like, how about 3,000? I'm like, all right, let's start at 3,000 if that feels comfortable for you, for an 8-week, 2 months, basically 8-week group coaching offer. The idea happened like on a Monday, whatever day it was, the beginning of the month, we started working together. By the end of the month, not only had we like gotten all of the funnels built, the whole membership community, actually the membership community wasn't, the framework of it was there, but I told her, don't try to build it. First sell it, and then we'll do it live, right? And I'll dive into that a little bit further too, but which made her very nervous. But it's like, if you're not uncomfortable, if you're not like overwhelmed a little bit, you're not growing. Like if you're very at ease and everything is smooth sailing, you're just like stagnant, so something to keep in mind. So anyways, we launched it, and then, taught her how to do the high ticket sales part, taught her how to, onboard the people, create the offer, all of that. And by the end of the first month, she made $36,000, right? In new revenue. Month 2, she made $52,000. Month 3, $84,000.
And then she just kept going. I think within 18 months, she made like 1.7, million dollars or something like that. I think I have the screenshot somewhere. I was very excited. So um, but those are when people take the action, they do the work, they get the results, you can get the transformation. And it doesn't have to be the business coaching that I do or whatever. It can be any type of coaching. It can be music, it can be medical, it can be health, it can be whatever it is, right? Coaching, consulting, whatever it is for you, corporate consulting. But get that first group, right? Get that founding group, charge them nothing or very little, but make sure again they're bought in, they're going to get the transformation. Those testimonials will take you forever. I think I still have Barbara's testimonial video on my YouTube, right? So like it's like that, it lives forever. Um, and so when it comes to creating your consulting offer, I think one of the things, any questions on any of the stuff I just said? I know again I'm a fire hose, so I just want to make sure that I'm not bulldozing everybody here. Feel free to jump in if you have any questions. But when it comes to crafting your offer, so if you don't have an offer yet, if you're like, hey, I don't have an offer, I'd love to create an offer. I don't know what that is. Obviously, the book helps. The book is very big on helping not only get the clients to understand who you are, the know, like, and trust factor, land clients via the book, right? My first book brought me an additional $365,000 in speaking and consulting the year after I published it and launched it. So I'm a big proponent of it. And but when it comes to crafting your offer and creating it, like figuring out again, same thing with the speaking journey, same thing with the transformation, the story of you, who is behind you and in your path, in your niche, in your industry, in your whatever that you can speak to, that you can help with. And so, and then dialing that in. In our back office, we have a customer avatar worksheet, which we go over a lot of this stuff, right? But understanding who, like, what keeps them up at night, right? When they go to bed and they just can't sleep and they're like in so much fear and whatever else, or they're just so excited, right? Like I would love this dream life over here, or I really am afraid of this fear over here. Knowing what that is for your clients and understanding the gap between where they are and the fear and where they are and the dream they have, that gap is where the transformation happens. That's where the sale happens. That's where everything happens. And so if you have a path to have gotten from where they are to where you are to where they want to get to, and you can lay that out for them, right? That's your consulting offer, right? That's your transformative consulting offer. Again, it can be corporate, it can be helping startups, it can be helping founders or small businesses, medium-sized businesses. It could be, it could be helping again, people in the music industry, right? I know like you have a membership community. So building up that membership community to, get that transformation and having new people come in each month. And what else, other value can you give to these people to be able to get them from where they are to where they need to be? And then understanding too, like what part of them do they have to change, right? Like you can give them all the tools, they can do nothing with it. You can hand them $1 million or hand them a million leads or a million whatever it is, a million bookings or whatever their speaking gigs, whatever the thing is they think they want or they say they want, and they can do nothing with it. And so the other aspect of it is like how do you kind of break and rebuild their thought process, their mindset, to help them be able to receive the thing that you're trying to give them, help them see that it's possible, help them believe that they can achieve that thing, and then actually give them the steps to get to that next stage. And so, yeah, that's it. I mean, there's a lot of text that goes into it, but you can, it's so much easier today, not because of AI or anything, but just software that's available. Being able to put a membership community in Kajabi or Thinkific or, whatever it is. You can even do, community subscribers on, YouTube or Facebook or any of those kind of things. They all have their pros and cons. They all have their ability to help you not only take payments, but have trainings, have modules, have a community aspect to help your clients. If it's not one-on-one, if you're doing one-on-one, that's a different thing. But if you're doing community aspect, right, you can use any of these softwares to do that. And if you want to use chat to be able to kind of frame out like, hey, what is that step-by-step thing? And, all of that, you definitely can. I personally don't, I would give a little warning that, again, I think obviously you guys see all the GPTs that I put together for our team, the one I'm going to give you guys for the TED Talk one, but I would make sure that if you're using any AI softwares as far as creating, like, here's my course outline or my book outline or any of that, just make sure that it's you, right? Make sure that it's you. Make sure that even if it's just a framework, that it's you. Because I do believe that getting that authentic voice and not having it be AI slop, I think is very important. Again, even if it's a framework, even if it's an outline, there's just something to the magic of having humans create the art that I would probably die on this hill. So I'm gonna keep trying to push it. Humans. Um, so anyway, so that's high ticket consulting. But you can move forward with these things right away. Like, and I think if any of you on here are like, hey, I want to do a membership community, I want to do a high ticket offer, consulting offer. I want to do a group coaching offer, whatever it is, and but I'm nervous, I'm scared, I'm whatever. I challenge you to post today on your socials, right? Once you know your offer, right? Even if, I mean, you used to know your offer. I was gonna say even if you don't, but you got to know what your offer is. But post on socials. Say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this thing. I would love 5 people to join me as like beta testers. All I ask is for a case study. When we get through with it, here's the problem I'm solving. Here's the transformation that I expect you to get. Here's how long it takes. It's time bound, so they know there's a start and an end. Here's what's required of you. Your time investment and whatever monetary investment, if not zero, right? Or very minimal, if anything. And then yeah, get some results. Just go do it. And I'll just say this because I don't see big questions coming in, is that I think one of the big things that, when I think about like all the times I want to go live on Facebook, or I want to go live on YouTube, or I want to post something, that I want to talk about and I don't, right? Or like I want to hop on Instagram and go live and I don't. And it's like, what is that ego part of me? Like, what is that fear part of me that's like, oh, I'm not going to say the right thing, or someone's going to judge me, or they're going to not think I'm good enough or cool enough or whatever that thing is, right? We all have, we all have whatever that is. It's different for all of us, but understanding that it's not real, that it's like a made up story. The key to all of it, it's not that people aren't. I'm sure there's some people down there that will judge or criticize, whatever. Those people are never going to give you money. Those people are never going to hire you. They're never going to buy your book or hire you to speak. Those people that are judging and that are like, I don't like this person, whatever, they were never going to work with you to begin with. It's better to like clear all those people out and have them unfollow you than to hold back and be afraid of what someone's going to say or what they're going to judge or critique. Because I think the people that are, exactly, Rich said it's a reflection of them, not you. Exactly. The people that are out there that are going to criticize, and you see the comment section, right? 50% of them, like literally statistically, 50% of those people are bots. Like that's been proven. 50% of the internet is bots. They're not real. The other 50%, if they're negative, like they're, who cares, right? And it's not, they're not going to do anything to improve your life, your business, your family, your anything, right? So drown out the noise and just try to stay away from, that fear-based limiting thinking. Just go out and try it, right? And if you're doing a beta test on, again, like speaking for free somewhere or a consulting, offer, and you're doing that first beta test, then it's okay if it's not perfect because like no one's paying you, like that's a very low barrier into to entry, right? Just get out there and practice and try it and make the offer and try to get the transformation and do the speaking engagement and try to talk and try to share it and hone in your craft. One of the things that my speaker agent told me was like, if you want to get really good at being comfortable on stages, is go do stand-up comedy, right? Go do improv somewhere, right? If they'll let you just join an improv and go just talk and try to do stand-up comedy. I try to do it all the time, and not actually at a like a comedy cellar or anything. I just talk to my friends and pretend I'm doing stand-up, but try to do that to get uncomfortable. Try to do it to just get up there and like fail and fail and fail until you're not afraid to fail anymore, right? Because failure is never what it seems. Failure is just feedback, right? It's just feedback. It's just iterations, right? You get rejected, you fail, whatever else. It's just feedback to figure out how to get better and how to improve and what you want to do. And it's all just one game, one thing to test over and over again. So it's okay. So I'm going to pause right there. I know we have 7 minutes left. I do want to make sure I end on time, like I said I would. Any questions on any of the things that I've said on the consulting offer? Any tech questions on like setup, what a 5-step VSL funnel is? Facebook ads. I don't know. What is any questions anyone has? How to get leads for consulting offers? Anything like that? I don't know. You guys let me know. Let me know if there's any questions. I want to make sure I have like one other small topic I want to go over, but I want to make sure that that I answer any questions while we're here. While I have a minute of me not yelling. Hey, hello. Nope. Okay. No questions yet. Okay, let me see. Nope. No questions. Okay. So the kind of final thoughts here in the last few minutes, the last 5-6 minutes. So one of the things I mentioned is how to outline your best-selling book, even if you don't have one yet. And so I want to make sure I share that. And then also too, I'll make sure I give you guys both the bonuses. One is that TED Talk GPT that I mentioned. Um, and then which you can also use for keynote speeches as well, that built for our clients. Let me give it to all you guys. And then the other one is my book, Enlighten Entrepreneurs, which I'll also send the PDF version of the ebook via email after this is done. Um, and so first, before the bonuses, how do you outline your best-selling book? So if you don't have a book yet, and you want to figure out your outline, the way we do it in-house, and I mean, some of our clients are here, you do an onboarding video process when it comes to going through the onboarding. You do this, it's basically me asking questions. You answer either audio, video, or text, and then you have an onboarding call with your client success manager. And that kind of defines what are we going to create an outline for this book about? How is this book going to be an outline to give this person the best chance to have their impact and their message heard in a way that's structured in as a business asset, right? So we want to make sure it's not like a sales letter. It's not the whole thing is 200 pages of being a sales letter, but we also want to we're very intentional about this is going to be a business asset for this client. And so if you don't have the ability to work with us, to start with us, obviously figure that out first, then start working with us. But if you just absolutely can't work with us or you're not already working with us, the do the same version with yourself. Get on a Zoom call, get on a voice notes and audio, whatever else, and start talking about every single thing in your life. Do that timeline, that story of you, right? And record all of that story of everything you've gone through, everything you've done, what kind of impact you want to give everybody, making sure that you have all of that laid out and that whole story of you to punch it up, make sure it's transformational. You're actually doing yourself a good service. And then from there, like break it up. And then again, I don't know if I would use the TED Talk GPT for it, but you could try it out. Hey, give me an outline of what my talk could be about, what my book could be about, like all of that. And those can start to come together. And I think a good example of this, but not through the TED Talk GPT, but is Michel, right? We wrote his best-selling book, and then his TED Talk is about his best-selling book, right? Same framework. And so you can create an outline that way in there, and at least you'd have something to go off of. Now, if you hate the outline, obviously, again, give us a call, start with us so we can actually help you create it the right way and help you write the book and use the human artist. But that would be a quick way to be able to just define that book, get to, an end goal, have a direction in there, and get something going. And then you say, will the event be in SoCal? Yes, actually. So the event we're going to do is going to be in Laguna Niguel in Orange County. We don't have the exact dates yet, but we're going to have it at one of our offices. We'll have catering. We'll have some speakers that will be out here. And then we're going to do these breakout session workshops. One is like you can see our office here. It's kind of a little bit blurry, but not full blurry. We have a full podcast studio in our office. And so some of our team that does podcasts, right, that do a lot of our podcast tours for our clients, a lot of stuff. We're going to try to get them out and have them, do some like podcast sessions in here with each individual person. This isn't something that's like in any of our packages. I've never mentioned this before. This is actually the first time. Breaking news. We've wanted to do an in-person event for a long time, and it's always been like, hey, we got to do this huge thing and make it this grandiose thing, and it's got to be, and it's like it doesn't have to be any of that. So we're like, let's just do a really amazing like VIP day, one full day, and have enough space for 50, maybe 75 people at most. I think it'll probably be closer to 50, just given the capacities here. But then we can do these workshops, right? And then maybe some specific consulting offers over here, specific speaker workshop over here, and then all in this office here we do the podcast, content, help people be able to record and get all of their stuff dialed in. And I think the benefit of doing the podcast too, besides with our team, that doing something at the event is like every hour of like 1 hour podcast is 20 to 25 shorts and reels and, all kinds of text that you can take and extrapolate that our team does, and memes and long form posts, short form posts. So there's like amazing, results from that. But also the speakers here will be, giving insane value. And it's a great networking opportunity to be able to connect people from Bank of America and, the Pentagon and, all these incredible people in the music industry and the medical industry and, people from around the world that will be here. So I'm very excited about it. I will send an update about the event as well. Let me know if you need a world-class DJ to set the vibe. That's actually not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea as well. I love that. I'll definitely reach out. Okay, cool. Any other questions anyone has? Let me know. I'm gonna wrap it up. Trying to make sure I like I said, I'll start on time, end on time. Or a host or MC, Rachel said. I love it. Again, everybody ready. Um, yeah, I'm excited about it. I'll tell you guys details when we get there, but yeah, I think it's going to be fun. So, yeah, any other questions? Let me know. Again, I'll in the email following this, I'll make sure I send out our TED Talk GPT copy of my best-selling book, Enlighten Entrepreneurs. It's got like 65, $75,000 worth of like income through impact type personal branding information, and really actionable lessons in there. And then yeah, and there should be a link to either schedule a call with myself or the team. If you want to schedule a call directly with me, I'll make sure I share that in the email as well. And yeah, looking forward to meet you if I haven't, and if I already have, looking forward to seeing you again. Thanks. Oh yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you guys. Have a great day. Talk to you.